All right, greetings everyone. Lou here from Greensea, project manager for Special Operations Technologies. Today I'm going to cover how to actually manipulate the workspace or use a workspace, similar to what you would do on the RNAV, to do some mission planning. I'm going to cover some basic considerations for you guys. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my STID mission planning folders, files, and I'm just going to make sure I have some charts in there. Yep, so I have some charts that we're going to use. Cool. Now I'm going to open up Workspace. So as I open up Workspace, it's going to pull up some imagery. And all I'm going to do is, for a quick reference point for myself, I'm just going to, set up two markers. I'm going to right click on my mouse and click Add Marker. I'm going to say, hey, this is going to be my start point. Cool. So I'm going to say I'm going to start from here, and then let's say I'm going to go to this cool little pier right here. I'm going to right click again, Add Marker, and there's my little marker. So if you want to save markers, put specific markers, you can just click on chart items, markers, and then you can type in the lat long. You can also type in MGRS and it automatically converts it for you. So before we start dropping waypoints, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that my actual settings or defaults are actually accurate for what I want, unless I want to change them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to map config defaults, and from here I'm going to adjust my tolerance. So tolerance is nothing more than how the RNAV is actually going to register that waypoint, meaning that, hey, as you're navigating, whether you're using the AP box or you're just flying it by hand, that you're going to get with it, you have to get within this proximity or less in order for it to register to move that next for it to go to the next waypoint. If you don't get within that tolerance and you want to actually switch or go to the next waypoint, you're going to actually have to manually skip that. So here, I'm just going to say, yep, my tolerance, I'm going to adjust to 5 meters. Yep, it's automatically going to save in there. And from here, I'm just going to go to my routes. I'm going to go to waypoints. As you guys see, I have no waypoints in here. And from there, I'm just going to go add waypoint, add waypoint. I'm just going to drop a few waypoints. And then I like to just do some dragging. You can look and then you can add them, so on and so forth. But we're going to start off with this right here. We're going to talk about it. So whenever I do my training, I like to actually start with my first waypoint, a few hundred meters off of the beach or off the launch site. Reason for that is because in the event that we plan for this throughout the week and we say suddenly it's, oh, we can't use it, or we have to move to the other side because a boat or something's in there, guys happen to come in and automatically have to skip a waypoint. It just becomes a little bit of a hassle. So what I'll do is, hey, if we're going to launch here, or maybe the next day we launch here or we launch here, I know that, hey, we're in the middle of the ocean. It's not going to affect my route development at all. Obviously, when we get closer to target, we're going to fine tune that to get right on the objective. But since we're here, this also allows guys, if PPDs are in the water at the marker, guys can do their compass calibration. They can do the trans alignments, enter the waypoint instead of having to do something like this where, yep, they have to do the compass cal, the trans alignment, and then they have to go back to the pier. So I just push it off a little bit and we'll go. So from there, we're just going to start dropping some weights. I'm going to try to pick the channel marker, the center of the channel. I know that there's a marina and some boats. Obviously, if you have the intelligence that there's big boats or some obstructions, you can actually plan to avoid that. Like with here, I know that there are some pylons that are holding up the bridge. So what I like to do is I'll drop one close, and then I'll drop one on the other side. And I'll continue to drop some more waypoints, and I'll just drag and drop. There are some things that I would like to talk about, is pretty much how sharp your turns are when you're doing your mission planning. You guys know that regardless when you're in autopilot mode, the DPD is going to turn once it registers that waypoint. It's saying, hey, you're here. If we're going waypoint 6, waypoint 7, once it says you're here, it's going to hit hard right as if you're navigating. And it's regardless of how fast you're going. So if you're at full throttle, it can cause some disruption in your depth management. It also helps, it could throw off some the passenger or even the pilot, depending on how it kicks you off. So what I like to do is sometimes I'll round them off. Obviously you want nothing less than 90 degrees for turns. So I'm just going to round it off so that these turns aren't as violent for the actual passengers. So there we go. So from there, I'm just going to do that and add a waypoint. And then as I zoom in on the waypoint, Yep. If I want to hit the tip of that pier, yep, I'm gonna put it on the very tip. There we go. And so there's my route. Obviously, this is not, I'm not talking tactics. This is nothing more than some simple mission planning. So as we start talking about our waypoints that we dropped initially, oops, sorry. What we're gonna do is I like to label them so guys know where they're at. You guys can work between divers to know what give each other hand signals. So just for awareness for the passengers, he's just not doing much back there, just holding on. So I'm gonna label this start. As you change it, it'll change on the screen. And then as I go through, so you can label them wherever you want. If you have brevity words, especially going through ACOMs, you can actually adjust or whatever. But when you, for me, I like to label specific things like, hey, we're getting close to the objective, maybe a link up site, maybe an obstacle, a known obstacle that we can't avoid. So 5, because 5 is close to the bridge, maybe that's going to tell me as soon as I get to 5, I'm going to say bridge entry. And I'll call it bridge entry. So now I know it's like, hey, maybe I'll switch over to a sonar screen. This way I know that in case I'm off, the imagery's off, or my navigation's slightly off. Self-induced, obviously. I know that, hey, I don't need to be on the lookout for that. And once I get to waypoint 6, you can say bridge free. You don't have to. It's just, it just helps give a warm and fuzzy of where they're at in the water. And let's say that 7 is going to be our link up. Link up to, maybe we're going to link up underwater before we all go in as an assault force. I'm going to say link up. Cool there. And then for the last one, you can use end, you can use target. And for this one, I'll just use objective. All right. So from there, you have your objective, you have all your waypoints labeled and marked. What you can do on the side, if you want to adjust what the actual tolerance is, you can also do it here specific. So I know that I want my tolerances to be a little looser as we're going from big water further away from the target. But as we get to the bridge entry, maybe I don't want to be on the edge of that 5 meter. Maybe I want to be pretty much a 3 meter so I know I'm entering it in a safe spot. So from there, I'll just click on it. So I'll go to 3 meters. When I'm at the target, when I'm at waypoint 9, since it's my last turn before final, I might go with 3, or sorry, do the same thing. I'm just like, I'm adjust it. I'm gonna fine tune it to 3. Now obviously the objective, I'm gonna fine tune it to 3 to make sure I'm dead on it. Cool. So now we have our route designed. Nothing crazy going on. Simple route. As you guys see the design of it. If you wanted to actually delete waypoints, all you have to do is toggle over and just hit delete, and it would take that out as well. Now, if you wanted to move specific waypoints, if you wanted to flip flop them, this is what it would look like. So if let's say I wanted to go to the objective, I want to put it second to last, or let's move it up even more, bridge entry, you're going to see this crazy diagram. So it's saying from bridge entry, I'm going to go to the objective, and then it's going to go back to bridge free, and it's going to do this whole route again. But you can manipulate by dragging and dropping or moving them to where you need it. So I'm just going to put that back in its spot. All right, so there's our normal route. If the marker's in your way, you can just take them off as well. If you don't need them, I'll just take them off. So now we have our basic route. And what we're going to do is here, we need to save it, obviously. So I'm going to hit save. I'm going to go to save. So I'm going to go to routes in the tab, and then I'm going to go to, in the column, I'm going to go to manage, and I'm going to label it. Let's say I'm going to label it bridge mission. And from here, I'm going to save it. Cool. So now every time you go to, if you were to drag and you say you want to do some fine tuning for Intel says, hey, there's something there, for whatever reason you want to change it, it doesn't automatically save. You're just going to have to hit save mission again, and you can say overwrite, hit OK. So now it's going to save that last thing that you just manipulated. Let's say you wanted, this is your primary route, and you want to have an alternate route that's very similar, but instead you're going to hit it a little. So you're going to hit it a little different, just a little different approach. For whatever reason, I'm just going to move. These are just random. This has nothing to do with tactics. Say I'm going to go through this point. I go through this point. And then from there, I'm just going to relabel it 2 and hit save mission. So it's going to be bridge mission number 2, or you can label it alternate. And you're going to save mission. Cool. So now it's saved. So now you should have 2 missions saved. Let's go check it. So now I'm going to open STID mission planning folders. And whenever you save something on your workspace, it'll be in its actual correlating folder. So STID missions. Sorry, there are some missions already in here. But here's our bridge mission that we did first, and then the bridge mission alternate. Cool. So they're in there. Everything's good. So from here, I'm just going to click on, make sure you're plugged into the RNAV. RNAV is on. I verified it is. And now I'm going to push mission files to RNAV. And then the dialog is going to search for a host, and it's going to say, yep, I got you. And it's going to push mission files to the RNAV. All right. So once we're in, we're pretty much set up. So now mission files are pushed. You can clear mission from map, so that if you want to do another plan, or if you want to design something else. So one of the unique things is that when the file name stays with the last mission you put in here. So I like to delete it, but what I'll do is, let's say I want to pull up a mission so I have something to reference, something to look at. Load mission from file, and obviously these are the 2. So we're going to look at alternate. So this is the alternate route of what it would look like. So obviously you see the prefix isn't in there anymore. So let's say I want to clear it. Let's want to look at the other one. So now I'm going to look at bridge mission. There you go, 2 separate missions. And that's how you actually look at them. Hopefully it clears up a lot of questions, or gives everybody a warm and fuzzy on how to actually plan missions. As always, have a good day, and see you guys soon. Safe diving.